Barcelona new star, Chutian's legendary rise begins. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 101, Manchester City? You want to throw money at Chutian desperately? The golden chest is being opened. Ding. Congratulations to the host for getting the Beckham arc module. Beckham arc module? The back of Chutian's head was slightly numb. An instant. Not only did he master Beckham's famed stunt, the full moon curved knife. I also learned the skills of Bay's arc passing. Arc ball stats of the panel, 70 straight up to 95. Chutian was slightly stunned. You have more options on free kicks. Carlos, the fierce domineering of the Gentetsu Ape. Beckham, the feminine weirdness of the full moon curved knife. And in terms of passing, there will be more options for tearing apart the opposing defenses. Beckham's long biography is the most beautiful arc in the world. Towards noon, La Masia building, the sporting director of the Barca club, Robert, has a sad face. Because Chutian has not yet signed a formal contract with Barca, can this matter be hidden? Can't hide. Transfer market, the authoritative European media will send someone to interview him today. Mr. Robert, the reporter has arrived. The assistant reminded. Robert nodded. Walked towards the reception room, worried. Chutian and Barca are still on temporary contracts. He has scored and assisted in many consecutive games, and he scored 3 goals in the national derby that ended yesterday. The top clubs of other clubs in Europe will certainly not miss this great opportunity. Especially Paris Saint-Germain. Wrong. Paris Saint-Germain's eating picture is fine. The club that should be most careful should be Manchester City. They are the trailblazers of golden dollar football. They use genius terms. Quite a few geniuses have been poached from various clubs. No way. Be sure to find a way. Dispel their thoughts about Chutian. Robert thought darkly. Reception room. Robert met with transfer market reporter Coot. As one of the most authoritative football media in Europe, transfer market focuses more on the information of the players themselves. The two shook hands and smiled at the camera. The interview began quickly. Kurt pressed the voice recorder and began to ask, Mr. Robert, Barca's layout in the Asian region seems to be better than other giants. How do you dig in the yen country Chutian, such a genius teenager? Robert grimaced and said cautiously, genius? Chutian is a very ordinary Yenhua player, but this style of player is more suitable for Barca. You didn't see him as a substitute in the first place. Apart from his wide vision, his ability to run, his passing accuracy, his excellent free kick and long-range shooting skills, he is very average in everything else. His counter-stealing ability, defensive interception ability, speed, headers, including jumping ability, are all very ordinary. Whoever is in the Barca midfielder's starting list can get that statistic. Robert looked embarrassed and relieved. Kurt frowned slightly. How does Barca's sporting director sound like he is exaggerating? He continued to ask, how is Rakitic's midfield performance not as good as Chutian's? Robert's eyes lit up. That's a good question. Youth transfer market should pay attention to Rakitic Wizards. Rakitic is a true genius. The last few games have not made him start because Barca are playing in the third line. Rakitic is a real top European midfielder. Rakitic's career peak is still a long way off. He's mature. Chutian is only 17 years old. He still has a lot to learn. Robert's mouth was splashing with excitement. The robbers of the European giants. Focus on Rakitic. Don't beat us up, Kurt thoughtfully said. Mr. Robert, Chutian is 17 years old. He already has this amazing performance in the top flight. You mean his future? Limitless. No. That was not what I meant. Robert desperately tried to explain. Coot smiled and was ready to end the interview. Etihad Stadium, Manchester City Club. Manager Pellegrini, who was flipping through the latest issue of Transfer Market, suddenly flashed in his eyes. Hurriedly put on reading glasses. Read it carefully. Coot's report is still relatively true. The assistant coach on the side glanced at it, and what was printed on the magazine was a photo of Chutian, and he was slightly surprised. Coach, I showed you Chutian's information a few days ago, and he has not yet signed a formal contract with Barca. Pellegrini shook his head and put down the magazine. Look out the window, deep eyes. If Manchester City can have this Yenhua boy, they will be on the top of Europe. Manchester City is known as the European upstart. In 2008, the club was acquired by the Abubiza consortium, ushering in the era of gold dollar football. Pity. On the road to the rise of the new upstart, it is always frustrated in the face of the old giants. Their best result was the Premier League title. In the year of reaching the Final Four of the Champions League, luck did not seem to be very good. They encountered Barca, who owned Xavi. Home and away, 2 legs, Manchester City are a goal defeat, regret out. Arrange for someone to contact Mino Raiola. Manchester City is not short of money, what is missing is honor. Parc des Princes. Paris Saint-Germain Club. Nasser, the president of the club, knocked the page of the latest issue of Transfer Market with Chutian's photo printed on it. I'm going to buy him. Club general manager Antro explained. Chairman, the Yenhua teenagers may not be suitable for our tactical system. I suggest that this matter should go through the club's process before making a decision. Nasser immediately interrupted, displeased. I want to buy him. I'm going to buy him, no matter how much it costs. Not necessarily for our tactical system? Then change our coaching team. We bought Guardiola. By Mourinho. With Chutian as the core, tailor-made lineup for him. Manchester City, of the Abubiza consortium, has sent people into action. Are we still going to grind and rub? Antro was startled out of a cold sweat and said hurriedly, I'll arrange for someone to do it. Yengua, the manager of the real estate team club, on his personal social account, posted a screenshot of the report. Barca sporting director, Chutian is very ordinary, Rakitic is the real genius. He also accompanied it with the text, Mr. Robert and I are old friends, he has always been honest, and he does not judge players lightly, and spend money on traffic. By a hot search, a whole bunch of sunspots in the comments section are also ready. Chutian is a system player, I play his position, I can also score goals and assists, really don't blow anymore. It looks just as good as taking Winley's goal collection and releasing it. What a violent shot. The collection was cut out and fast-forwarded. Football looks fast only. If I'm a teammate with Messi, I can also assist. You can score goals too. Chutian is so powerful, why don't you dare to come back to participate in the Yenyun games? Afraid of filling? Yes, he didn't dare to participate in the training of the national football team. It's parallel goods. Like Messi, he is a system player. The real estate team smiled pityingly and dialed the number of the leader of the Football Association. Leader, you have suffered these days, it is all right. Wrapped up in me. Night. Chutian finished a day of training. Walk out the doors of the La Masia training base. Hey, my little genius. I dare not disturb your training. Waited for you for a long time. Mino Raiola walked up excitedly. Chutian smiled, if there is something important, you can inform me in advance. The short fat man smiled and said, Manchester City has sent someone over, I think I can talk to him. Manchester City? Chutian recalled. In 2015, Guardiola has not yet coached Manchester City. At this time Manchester City is very strong on paper, and head coach Pellegrini is also a legendary coach, but always a year of bad luck. Moments later, the two came to a private restaurant in the city center. Manchester City staff immediately stood up. Mr. Mino. Chutian. Glad you guys are willing to give me this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Joe Macon. The crowd began to greet each other for a moment. Joe Macon said, Manchester City Club, I would like to welcome Chutian to join. Transfer fee, signing fee, portrait name rights, everything Mr. Mino proposed. We Manchester City can meet. We have David Silva in midfield. There is Yaya Touré. They are also the top in the world. And they're so much more physical than Busquets and Iniesta. Their careers are still very long. David Silva, two main members of the European Championship winners, a major member of the World Cup winner, the Matadors national team, a member of the 6 midfielders of the Peak No Front team, Habibu national team teammate. He was considered at the time a composite version of Xavi plus Iniesta. Yaya Touré, Barca's peak dream 3 team's main back, rotated with Busquets that year, enriched the tactical system of the Dream 3 team, 6 crowned meritorious service. Guardiola defines him as the world's #1 offensive back. Manchester City are now close to the title. Maybe it's a Chutian. Joe Macon looked at Chutian with anticipation in his eyes and continued, we still have Aguero in the front. Our backline has company. We can buy any player you want. Barca already have Messi. You don't have to be enveloped by his aura. Chutian, as long as you are willing to join, Manchester City will agree to all the conditions you prescribe. Chutian pondered for a moment and said, thank you for Manchester City's kindness, but I do not plan to transfer for the time being. If I have the intention of transferring, I will definitely give priority to Manchester City. Joe Macon couldn't hide his regret. Chutian, Manchester City welcomes you at any time. All your requests, we will accept. Episode 102, One Man, One City? Messi's old Barca? Joe Macon walked to the door. Turn your head. Discover that the scouts of Paris Saint-Germain sat in his place. Mino Raiola is so shameless. Surprisingly on the same night. Docking 2 clubs to talk. Joe Macon looked embarrassed, hesitated for a moment, and gave up the idea of turning back to the theory. The lineup of Greater Paris is also similar to Manchester City. The popularity brought by Ligue 1 and the Premier League is not a grade. When Chutian has the intention of transferring, he will definitely make a wise choice. The staff of Paris Saint-Germain politely handed out business cards. I'm Anti-Royce of Paris Saint-Germain. Mino smiled. Antero, I heard that you are the future sports director candidate of the Great Paris Club. Antero smiled. This represents the sincerity of our club, and our president, Mr. Nasser, appreciates Chutian very much. You're in La Liga, and we're amazed by the highlights of the Champions League group stage. We'd love to have you join Paris Saint-Germain. Our forward line has Ibrahimovic, Di Maria, Cavani, Mata and Matuidi in midfield will definitely be your best partner. The back line, there is a combination of centre-backs who do not lose to Real Madrid, David Luiz and Silva. My influence in League One is not as great as in the Premier League and La Liga. We will provide you with all the resources. You are the core of our midfield. The European Championship is much more valuable than the league title. We need you, Chutian. You are one of the most important pieces of Paris Saint-Germain. The names of the Parisian stars, like thunder filling the ears. The total value of the Paris Saint-Germain squad is close to that of Real Madrid. Mino Raiola said, Paris Saint-Germain are a lot of players I signed, including coaches. You can think about it. Chutian nodded. Very attractive lineup, but I have no plans to transfer for the time being. Antro's face was slightly lost. It's okay, Chutian, when you have the intention of transferring, feel free to contact me. No matter what time, 24 hours we will answer your call. Chutian returned to the first team's dormitory. The conditions offered by Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain are very attractive, but he is a Barca fan. Barca's teammates are also very good to themselves. It was also Enrique who gave himself the opportunity to try out Barca, so he has no idea of transferring for the time being. Meanwhile, Chutian had no idea that he was being targeted by the paparazzi. Outside the La Masia training base, two reporters tinkered with the camera and whispered, "Get rich." Chutian and his agent meet with the scouts of Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain privately. The whole process was filmed. This news is much more explosive than Bale's sneaky golf. Tracking Chutian's days is really boring. His life is too boring. Every day is training, and he doesn't know how to drink and have fun. And today he finally dug up a hot news. I was quite frustrated, lurking for a week, and I was going to take the news of Barca's talented midfielder lives in a first-team dormitory back to the news. The life of this Yenwa boy is too plain, and there is no scandal at all. He gets up at 4:30 a.m. every day to train, and only returns to the dormitory at 11 p.m., not to mention training. I just stand dizzy. Who can stand it? Finally dug out the exciting news, we hurry back to the company. Next, Barca sporting director Robert was about to walk to the La Masia building when he was surrounded by a large group of journalists. Mr. Robert, is the news that Chutian is going to transfer true? Mr. Robert, Chutian and Barca are only temporary contracts, and his agent's private meetings with other club scouts should not be condemned, right? Mr. Robert, based on what you said earlier, are Barca going to abandon Chutian and put Rakitic back in the main position? Chutian transfer? Other club scouts? Rakitic back in Barca's main position? Robert froze and shouted, "Where's the fake news? No way, Chutian can't transfer. He is one of the most important players for Barca." Rakitic? Chutian will always be the starting midfielder. He struggled to shake off the reporter. Moments later, he returned to his office and saw the newspaper on his desk. The headline on the front page is a photo of Chutian and Mino Raiola meeting Manchester City scouts and Paris Saint-Germain scouts, respectively. Robert's face was sluggish. These abominable upstarts. He wants to take away our Barca. Chutian. No, you must report to the club president immediately. Chutian signed a contract thing. Barca must hurry. Countless Barca fans were also very angry after seeing the newspaper. What does Barca club executives do? La Liga is coming in its 6th round. The second game of the Champions League group stage is about to start, and I have not signed a contract with Chutian. This efficiency is hundreds of times slower than that of the countries in the southern hemisphere. Are we going to watch our Barcelona geniuses being abducted by Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain? Bartomeu is the worst president in Barca's history, even if Chutian's agent is Mino Raiola. The club can't put the signing on for so long either. Chutian helped us defeat Real Madrid. Win the national derby. I actually learned that the club had not officially signed him. Two paparazzi reporters broke the news. The fact that Barca and Chutian have not yet signed a contract has spread throughout Europe. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea FC, Abramovich found Mourinho. As the club president, he has a very respectful attitude towards the Chelsea manager, without half a point of arrogance. Mr. Mourinho, I think Chelsea should also get this young genius. Mourinho's face was expressionless and his tone was flat. If he were paired with Fabregas, Chelsea would have won all the trophies. Bayern Munich. Guardiola took the newspaper and was extremely excited. I can't take Messi with me, but I can take away Chutian. I have the energy to create a more advanced and powerful transmission control system for him. This is really the happiest trouble. Who should I let with Chutian? Alonso, Thiago, Bidart. Chutian will definitely open a new era of football transmission and control. By the way, why are you still standing? We should prepare everything in advance for the arrival of Chutian. The assistant coach looked helpless. Guardiola's hysteria was committed again. Coach, our club hasn't started sending people to talk to Chutian yet. Allianz Arena, in Turin. Juventus club. Allegri watched the TV and jumped up excitedly. The staff of the coaching team looked at each other. I just said that Chutian is not Harvey's successor. His successor to Pirlo, his vision, his pass, his long-range shot. Chutian is too tired to play at Barca. He wants to sort out the rhythm of the midfield alone and activate the running of Barca players. Everything will be different when you come to Juventus. Pirlo needs a Gattuso. I'm willing to find the best destructive midfielder in the world for Chutian. Don't forget, we still have Pogba. Let the honor or whatever go to hell. My football philosophy will definitely be carried forward under this midfield combination. Meanwhile, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Dortmund. Discussions about Chutian's transfer have also begun within these European giants. Such a top-notch and stable talented midfielder, who wouldn't want to get it? Chutian is still very young. His career is very long. Moreover, it can be learned from countless sources that he is still very diligent and has a very decent life, and he is not at all like a debauched genius who lives a debauched and does not listen to commands. Barca training base. Enrique was somewhat surprised when he saw the contract that Roberto had handed him, the 6th-year salary in the team and the sky-high liquidated damages. Roberto smiled bitterly. I need you to talk to Chutian, Enrique. Mino Raiola is too difficult to deal with. Enrique nodded, walked to the training ground. He looked at Chutian's running back, his thoughts complicated. Moments later, Chutian ran around, find Enrique standing there. Coach, are you waiting for me? Enrique handed over a contract. The club wants to sign you officially. Chutian took over the contract and flipped it over. 6th-year salary in the team? This didn't matter. Chutian was originally a person with low material needs. The amount of liquidated damages is very scary. Chutian couldn't help but think of his past life. Messi voluntarily cut his salary and was still driven away by Barca executive Laporta. Countless Barca fans want Messi to end up at Barca, but this became a wish after all. There are also many veteran generals such as Suarez who will be purged by the Barca hierarchy. This moment, Chutian thought about what would happen in a few years and hesitated. Coach, let the sporting director, Mr. Robert, talk to Mino. I'm going to continue training. Enrique nodded, thoughtfully. When Chutian was doing strength training, Messi suddenly came over. Chutian, I have something I want to talk to you about. Chutian raised his head and smiled. It was the club executives who asked you to talk to me too. Messi nodded. Barca is a very human club. I want you to stay. Chutian was slightly stunned. A club with a human touch? Messi was abandoned by the Argentine Old Boys Club as a child because of a growth hormone deficiency. It was Barca who bore the high cost of his treatment and helped their father apply for a work permit in Barcelona. Unfortunately, Barca executives, they are ruthless. Messi was later driven away by Barca president Laporta. Even if he voluntarily cut his salary by 50%, Barca's backhand is a set of operations. For the 700 million euros in liquidated damages, it is necessary to go to court with Messi. Countless Barca fans shouted the slogan of one person, one city. Barca's official announcement finally shattered the illusions of all fans. Barca executives declared, the interests of the club are above all else. Messi is old. See, Chutian does not speak. Messi continued, Chutian, stay. Together, let's pick up all the trophies we can get. I believe you can get Barca to win another 6-time title. I don't know what Barca's annual salary and liquidated damages are for you, but, mouth. Episode 103, Rakitic's beloved Barca? Chutian crisis? The news that Chutian did not renew his contract with Barca spread in Europe. Mino Raiola came to the training base in La Masia. Oh God, my little genius, I'm going to be bombarded by club representatives all over the world these 2 days. In addition to Bayern, Chelsea, Juventus, Liverpool and Manchester United, the big 5 league giants, there are also big bunsies in the Bundesliga who are also contacting me. Even a few oil kingdoms in the Middle East are fighting your idea. Maybe you have to go to the past technology to alleviate poverty. The short fat man looked haggard. Of course, I didn't agree to an invitation to any of the secondary league clubs. Every club offers very attractive conditions, far beyond the value of Ibrahimovic and Balotelli. As long as you nod, the name Chutian will be engraved in the history of football transfers. Now in European football, the top strikers are in full bloom and countless. Lewandowski, Diego Costa, Kane, Higuain, Aguero, Ibrahimovic. There are also many sappers in the midfield, but there are very few technical transmission midfielders. In particular, Chutian is a talented midfielder who can control the rhythm of the game, pass out deadly threatening balls, and have the ability to shoot from a distance. The news that Chutian did not renew his contract with Barca has made the world's giants and big consortium clubs flock to it. Wednesday, the Matador Kings Cup begins to kick in. The Copa del Rey, originally known as the Alfonso VIII Cup, originated in 1902 and was held to celebrate the ascension of the Matador King that year. The 4 league-level clubs of the Matador Nation will be played out in a knockout tournament with a mix of noble and inferior. Barca will travel to the north of the Matador Nation to take on La Liga side Osasuna. Chutian was on the bench list, followed the team to Osasuna, a pickup port. Rakitic, who was at the forefront, was immediately surrounded by reporters. Rakitic. I'm a reporter for Marca, and this Copa del Rey opener is not only the starting midfielder, but also the captain. Do you have anything you want to say? Barca promoted Rakitic to captain of the substitute squad in order to cope with the third-line battle. Rakitic smiled confidently. I am very grateful to the Barca coaching team for trusting me. I will lead the team to win the first victory of the Copa del Rey. I love Barcelona, the crowd applauded. The Marca reporter then threw out a question. What do you think about the fact that the talented midfielder Chutian did not renew his contract with Barca? Chutian? Chutian again? Why is he mentioned every time a reporter interviews? The smile on Rakitic's face disappeared and he solemnly said, Chutian is still very young, he is talented, and there will be many temptations that will follow. His agent is Minora Iola. The agent's players are all wanderers, none of them have faith in the club. Chutian has not been with Barca for a long time. I am different. My idol is Cruyff. My dream since childhood is to play for Barca. When I was faced with Barca's transfer invitation, I didn't grind it out. Only the heart is touched by the completion of the dream. I can't wait to come to La Masia. The reporters applauded thunderously. The Marca reporter quickly recorded the main points of the interview in a small notebook. Soon, the report that the genius of Yengua has no feelings for Barca spread throughout Europe. In the front page headline photos, Chutian's full body photo and Barca's emblem, drawing a huge gap. The words in the introduction are sharp. Chutian is too young to refuse the olive branch thrown by a number of European giants. His heart is not in Barcelona, he likes money and status, and the reason why he delayed renewing his contract with Barca is very simple. In order to raise his own value. The hesitation of the Yengua teenager may have been instigated by his agent, Minora Iola. Countless Barca fans began to get angry when they saw the report. Accusations have been made. What is this toilet paper newspaper? Scribble. Oh. It was Marca who took the lead. That's alright. Chutian's worth. No need to lift. He has proven it with goals and assists. Has Chutian not done enough for Barcelona? He took over Xavi's responsibilities and led Barca to victory after victory. Who is the agent and what does it have to do with the players? Without Chutian, we would have lost to Sevilla in the UEFA Super Cup. We will lose to Atletico in La Liga. In the Champions League group stage, we will lose to Roma. Chutian helped Barca win the national derby. 2 goals behind the situation reversed Real Madrid. Chutian helped us out of the Bernabeu with a vicious breath. The opening ceremony of the Copa del Rey was gorgeous. The reason why this year's opening election was launched here, it's because Osasuna is a comprehensive sports club, and they don't just have the sport of football. They created a foundation and donate a lot of money every year to the development of football. The fans of this La Liga club are even all over South America. The race started quickly. The stands at the Sardar Stadium were packed. The stadium can only accommodate 20,000 people. But the fans are very loud and sitting on the bench. Watched as Barca teammates on the pitch pressed Osasuna into the penalty area. There is a huge gap between the level of players in La Liga and La Liga. The rights to the West B match are not even purchased by many regions. Fans of Yengua can see the live broadcast of League 2, Bundesliga, Championship and Dutch Second Division. In addition to the strength of the players is not weak. The main reason is that these 4 sub-leagues are still a bit ornamental. The attack is fierce, especially the Dutch Second Division, often posing a lineup of 4 forwards and 5 forwards to fight against each other. Whoever defends, who is the grandson. The ratings of the J-League are higher than those in the Second Division. It just so happens that Osasuna is the most defensive team in La Liga. On the pitch, Osasuna's players rarely touch the ball. Even if the dead ball is reopened, it will also be easily cut off by the Barca players. Osasuna's backline, like an eroded piece of white paper, can be pierced with a single pass. Rakitic repeatedly passed threatening balls, but Barca striker Munir did not take his chance. Courtside, the expressions of the managers on both sides were relaxed. Enrique observed the situation and quickly returned to the coaching bench. Osasuna's manager, Gracia, appears to be light and breezy. He strategically abandoned the match after the Copa del Rey draw a month ago. Are you kidding? No crazy coach wouldn't let a La Liga team fight with Barca, right? 18th minute of the match, Rakitic received a pass from Roberto. Facing the backline of Osasuna's paper paste, he kicked it, football drilled into the net. 1-0. Osasuna's goalkeeper was completely unable to react. Rakitic rushed to the Barca fan stands, slapping his chest and roaring. In the face of the applause and shouts of the Barca fans, Rakitic was thrilled. Or that Europa League winner midfielder. I'm no worse than the Yengua teenager. I can lead Barca to victory. The game continues. Rakitic also began to imitate Chutian's transmission. He kept yelling at Roberto, and Munir shouted, "Pass the ball back to me." The ball passes at the feet of the red and blue jersey. Osasuna's players are under pressure. Barca are now falling on their feet, not threatening at all. Osasuna has been in existence for 95 years and has only had 2 famous stars in recent years. Atletico's current right-back, Juan Fran. Arsenal's old door god, Almunia. They finished runners-up in the Copa del Rey and reached the Europa League Final Four. But that was many years ago. Now Osasuna, very weak. The game time passed minute by minute. With Rakitic-led passes, Barca did not score. The fans in the stands also yawned. Rakitic is slowing down Barca, right? Don't want to expend too much stamina on weak teams? Perhaps, Barca is now fighting on a third line after all. kicking the belly of this fish belly without effort. Why do I see Rakitic's expression very seriously? Until the referee blew the whistle at halftime. Barca also did not score again. When Matthew came off the field, he excitedly came to Chutian's side. How did I play this time? Chutian smiled and nodded. You played very well. In this kind of game, Matthew starts at center back, and there will be no surprises. Matthew let out a cheer. Thank you, Chutian. Then excitedly walked into the players' tunnel. This old brother, with a very stupid brain, never reads the news, does not even use a smartphone, and has always used the elderly machine in the future. But Matthew thought Chutian was very good. And if Chutian said that he played well, it would be absolutely right. The second half continued. Barca's attack, from the time Rakitic dominated the passing, has not been glamorous. Osasuna's players also finished forming a half-point attack. Football can't even beat Barca's half. Even goalkeeper Bravo stood in the center circle. Put on a boring look. This old man couldn't look at it anymore. The ball was passed back to his feet. He got up on his feet to hang a long pass from the penalty area. Enrique on the sidelines giggled in horror. Chutian couldn't help but smile. Bravo stood in the middle circle or so wave. If the long pass was hit by Osasuna to fight back the hanging door, that's definitely the biggest underdog. Bravo's long pass fell into the penalty area. Munir jumped high and headed the ball into the goal. Hit the goalkeeper. Bounce out. Osasuna players react too slowly. Rakitic quick forward plug. Shoot with one kick. The ball was scored. 2-0. Barca fans cheered wildly. Rakitic rushed to the stands for the first time. Crazy celebration. Take off your jersey. It's like holding a treasure, picking up the jersey and kissing the Barca logo. The Barca fans gave him a big round of applause. On the bench, Chutian looked at Rakitic, who was frantically celebrating, with a calm expression. Episode 104. Barca's little abacus? Chutian on the bench. All the media in La Liga are reporting on the renewal of Chutian and Barca. Many Barca fans have a haze in their hearts. Chutian didn't pay much attention to the news from the outside world. Still train hard every day. During this time, he accumulated 6 free attribute points. Possession stats cannot be increased with attribute points after 90. He increased his physical fitness to 83. Sunday. It's another match day that's a fantastic match day for the fans. In the 6th round of La Liga, Barca host Levante. The stands at Camp Nou were crowded. Barca's flag flutters in the wind. CTV5, CTV5. Good evening to spectators and friends. Welcome to the 6th round of La Liga Barca vs Levante. I'm Duan Xian, the commentator of this game. The race is about to start. If Barca win this battle, they will open up the gap with Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. Here's an introduction to the starting lineups of both teams for this match. Barca are still in a 4-3-3 formation. Goalkeeper, Ter Stegen. Defenders, Alba, Pique, Mascherano, Alves. Midfielders, Busquets, Rakitic, Iniesta. The fans in the live broadcast room saw that there was no Chutian's name, and the bullet screen took off instantly. What about Chutian? Why didn't Chutian start? There is no Chutian game I come to see. I am not a La Liga fan. It is better to watch the Premier League. Chutian on the bench list. Rest assured, Levante conceded an average of 3 goals per game. If Elche hadn't grabbed a drop list last season for financial problems, Levante would be in La Liga right now. These 13 fish-belly teams, the tactical style is very fond of playing against each other. All pre-match analysis sites predict that Barca will score 5 goals in Levante. Enrique stood on the sidelines of the court. Looks complicated. The Barca boss didn't even dare look back at the bench. He was afraid to see Chutian. 3 days ago, after the Copa del Rey, the Barca hierarchy found Enrique. The club believes that Rakitic scored twice and was capable of sitting in Barca's midfield. Barca are already number 1 in the La Liga table and are also number 1 in goal difference. The Champions League group stage points and goal difference were also number 1. Chutian was disobedient and should be refrigerated for a while. Even if Barca does not have a young man in the Yen country, the first reaction of Enrique, who is now the leader in the third-line operation, is to protest. He desperately tried to explain to the top how important Chutian was to the team. Barca's top brass ignored it. Enrique finally had to accept instructions from his superiors. Put Chutian on the bench list. Chutian probably understood what was going on. He watched the game quietly. The heart is very calm, without any negative emotions. Showed understanding of Enrique's approach. After all, his coaching experience is not very long, and he is very weak at the Barca club. If it is a manager like Mourinho, if the club dares to interfere with his employment problems, he will flip the table of the club president. Matthew laughed and said, "It's like an adult playing a youth team," and when Sue said the team would let me play after taking the lead. Do I have to warm up now? Bravo was displeased. I obviously indirectly assisted a goal in the Copa del Rey, and the coaching staff talked to me for a long time. Well, now playing Levante, this kind of fish-belly team does not dare to let me start. What are you doing in Ter Stegen? Levante can't get past halftime. What are you doing standing near the penalty area? Go to the middle circle. The two big brothers, one to the left and one to the right, sat next to Chutian. The game scene is one-sided. Similar to the Copa del Rey situation, Levante's defense is even more fragile than Osasuna's. Their players always have an offensive heart. This team's style of play is very open. They conceded the most goals in La Liga, conceding an average of 3 goals per game. Their goals, which are also the most in the lower teams of La Liga, are also the result of fish belly. Levante can often play big scores. The Camp Nou fans cheered wave after wave. Barca repeatedly caused danger in front of Levante's goal. All the spectators had a vague feeling that as long as Messi took the ball, he could break through Levante's goal. Chutian glanced at Levante's old coach, Lucas Alcaraz, slightly surprised. This old manager is not famous, is an old fritter in La Liga, but his son will become the youngest tennis world champion in history in a few years. The kind of super genius who came out of nowhere and won many world championships. Much more outrageous than the prince of tennis. On the pitch, the game scene is one-sided. 16th minute of the match. Rakitic received a pass from Iniesta. 1 foot provocative. Football flies into the penalty area. The ball was too light, and Suarez's direct shot was not very good to hit. But the Levante players' defense was not active enough, and the goalkeeper stood too poorly. They actually let Suarez stop the ball easily, make adjustments in the box, and shoot again. 1 kick to shoot. The ball rolled into the goal. Lifted the net. 1-0. The audience cheered. The Camp Nou stands erupted into a landslide tsunami of shouts. The ball is in. Barca took the lead. Rakitic picks out assists. Suarez pushed the goal. Let's take a look at the replay. Suarez deserves to be Europe's top striker. Stop the ball. Adjust. Shot. Coherent. Chutian doesn't play? Then I don't look at it. What's so good about the kicking belly team game? Wake up to another 5 o'clock game. Don't let Chutian go up. I'll watch Messi. How do I feel? Levante's level is similar to that of the AFC Champions League team. They played with Puja Red Diamonds in the warm-up match 2 months ago, and both sides were all main. The score was 3-3. Barca goalkeeper. I want to take a little bench and suck melon seeds. VIP box stands at Camp Nou. Sporting director Robert, accompanied by several Barca executives, stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Rakitic played very well. Copa del Rey scored, and La Liga also had assists. His strength is fully integrated into Barca's pass control system. It's a great story just now. He's also in a good image, and if he plays a few more games, the commercial value will not be too bad. We've all achieved a leading edge in third-tier combat. It is precisely the need for a stable and mature midfielder like Rakitic. Barca executives looked at Rakitic, who was frantically celebrating, very satisfied, and smiled. Robert nodded in agreement. Rakitic hugged Suarez and roared wildly at the fans in the stands. Excitement aside, his eyes swept over the bench. At the moment of seeing the young man of Yengua, he withdrew his gaze. Rakitic, the same can adapt to Barca's transmission control system. You can also tear apart your opponent's back line with your pass. The game continues. Levante, who was 1 goal behind, pressed forward like crazy. But the ball was quickly broken. Barca regained the ball. The repression continued. 45th minute of the match. Rakitic crossed the ball past a Levante defender, straight into the forbidden zone. The Levante players panicked. The goalkeeper quickly adjusted his pace, trying to block the dead Rakicic's position. Rakitic raised his leg to make a gesture to shoot. The next moment, he passed the ball to Messi, who stepped in front of him. Messi kicked it. The ball took a wonderful arc and slammed into the far corner of the goal. 2-0. Cheers from the audience. The ball was scored. Messi, Barca are leading again. Rakitic assisted twice. Rakitic assists. Messi's kick is so wonderful. The ornamental Rakitic frantically hugged Messi, rushed to the coaching bench, hugged Enrique tightly. Countless reporters filmed this scene. Rumors of a mismatch between the Barca boss and the best midfielder in the Europa League vanished at this moment. At the urging of the referee, Rakitic walked back to the pitch. He looked into the stands. The face is full of confidence. Raise the index finger of your right hand high. Lift the jersey with your left hand. Kiss the Barca emblem on the jersey. This move made all the Barca fans start cheering. They chanted the name of the best midfielder in the Europa League. Rakiti, Rakiti, Rakiti. Chutian's expression was calm. The Bravo brother next to him was skimming his lips. Kick a fish belly team or not to be so excited. The last time I scored a penalty, why didn't the Barca fans call me by my name? Matthew thought for a moment and said, because your name is too long. Claudio Andres Bravo Munoz Huesco San Diego. The whole game is over. Barca beat Levante 2-0. On the other hand, the result of the score between the Parade and the Dry Horse was 1-1. Barca have won 6 consecutive La Liga games. Now far ahead in the standings. Rakitic helped the team to victory. Assist twice in this game. Chutian has been pressed on the bench for 2 consecutive games, and the outside world speculates that because of the contract problem, Barca's behavior is putting pressure on Chutian. 3 days later, in the second game of the Champions League group stage, Barca against the Bundesliga powerhouse Bayer Leverkusen. Will Chutian start? Why did Chutian drag on not signing a contract with Barcelona? Barca are already the top giants. Chutian is a wide-eyed wolf. The ball is played well. There is a problem with the character. He just wants to sell for the price. When he was banned by the Yen National Football Association, it was Barca who gave him the opportunity to try out. Why didn't he sign with Barca? You don't understand the situation. Don't mess around. It's Barca's contract that's too oppressive. The joy of defeating Levante didn't last long. The second match of the Champions League group stage is just around the corner. Barca will travel away to take on Bundesliga powerhouse Bayer Leverkusen. La Liga and Bundesliga media, this time not asked for Tata's Roma. Instead, fans in Asia's stick countries began to clamor. We have Sun Xingqian, Bayer Leverkusen's top winger. Sun Xingqian's performance will tell everyone. Who is Asia's #1 star? Chutian is just blown out by the media. He's in his original form. It's not Barca's starting force anymore. Sun Xingqian is low-key and modest. Will prove everything with strength. Episode 105. The clamor of the baseball nation fans. Chutian G. Stunning Bayer Stadium. Wednesday, Chutian and his Barcelona teammates came to the Chariot Nation, Westphalia. As soon as they stepped off the plane, everyone was shocked by this magnificent airport. Like a steel fortress, the Westphalia region is the most economically developed region of the Chariot state. It is also the headquarters of Bayer, the global pharmaceutical giant. Why do many Yenhua fans call Bayer Leverkusen a pharmaceutical factory? Because Leverkusen was founded by Bayer AG. He is the ancestor of golden dollar football. Since 1904, they have been throwing money into a corporate team into a Bundesliga champion. Barca players walk out of the pickup. Chutian was surprised to find that there were many Oriental faces wearing Bayer Leverkusen jerseys outside the cordon. Is it Yenhua people? Wrong. Judging from their accents, you can tell that they are all baseball national fans. Chutian couldn't understand the stick language, but from the look in their eyes, I found that I had not come to welcome myself. Why do Bayer Leverkusen have so many baseball fans? Chutian struggled to recall. I remembered a baseball national star, Che Fan-jen. Che Fan-jen used to be Bayer Leverkusen's star. Bundesliga MVP. He was named by FIFA as the greatest Asian player of the 20th century. Inducted into the Bundesliga Legendary Stars Hall of Fame, he fought in the Bundesliga in 1978 and retired in 1989. His goal record in the Bundesliga was not broken until 1999. He is the king of the ball in the hearts of the fans of the baseball country. Chutian looked at the billboards of the buildings in the distance. The Oriental faces on the billboards were somewhat familiar. It's Sun Xingqian, isn't Sun at Tottenham? Chutian remembered. In 2015, Sun Xingqian was still Bayer Leverkusen's main striker. Tottenham Hotspur, who only moved later. Since then, the name shocked the Premier League. No wonder Bayer Leverkusen has so many baseball national fans. There is a car in front of Van Roots. Later, there was Sun Xingqian. The reporter of Marca newspaper walked up to a group of baseball nation fans with photographers and asked enthusiastically, "Are you all Yenhua people? You are all here to greet Chutian." The baseball country fans changed their faces and scrambled to shout desperately, "We are not Yenhua fans. We are not here to greet Chutian. I'm going to correct your title. We are not Yenhua people." When the baseball country fans said these words, their faces were full of superiority. Our national football team. It is not a grade with the Yen national football team. We were the World Cup Final Four in 2002. The Yen national football team is very afraid to play against our national team. They also invented a word, rotphobia. Yenhua football will not be our opponent, just like Chutian won't be Sun Xingqian's opponent. Sun Xingqian is the #1 star in Asia. Chutian now is Barca's substitute. He's not even qualified to be compared to our Sun Xingqian. The video of the clamor of the fans in the baseball country quickly reached the Yen country. It has also been on the hot search of the Yenhua short video platform. Yenhua fans were indignant. These sticks are too arrogant, not qualified to be compared to Sun Xingqian? Did Barca still let Chutian substitute? Chutian must teach the stick a good lesson. Blow up Bayer Leverkusen. Only blame this generation of national football team is not contentious. Many years ago, the baseball national team was not killed by the national football team to lose armor. The stick is the dirtiest. Shameless again. I remember the dirty things they did at the 2002 World Cup. They bribed the referees. No sportsmanship. I can think of it now. Coco was bleeding profusely. The scene of Maldini being kicked in the back of the head with a stick. Chutian, come on. Punch the stick in the face. Chutian may not have a chance to play. The Barca team bus came to the Bayer Athletic Stadium. This is the home of Leverkusen. The decor was very luxurious. The hardware equipment fully meets the standards of the international five-planet field. There is also a five-star hotel on the course. Unfortunately, the stadium can only accommodate 30,000 spectators. Pre-match press conference. Bayer Leverkusen's manager, Loge Schmidt, sat down at the podium. He was originally an auto mechanic. A few years ago, he changed his career and coached Red Bull Salzburg and won the Double Crown King. Mr. Schmidt, I'm a reporter for Land Sports, and Barca have completed 9 consecutive wins in a 3-tier battle since the start of the new season. Are you sure you can lead Bayer Leverkusen out of the way? Roger Schmidt laughed and said, watch your wording. Bayer Leverkusen wouldn't want a draw. We are not afraid of Barca. Bayer Leverkusen has many excellent young players, and I am fully prepared for this game and have complete countermeasures. 9 consecutive wins is nothing. Bayer Leverkusen set a record of 15 consecutive wins last season. La Liga teams have no advantage against Bundesliga teams. Followed by, the reporters turned to ask questions of Enrique. Mr. Enrique, I am a reporter for Sky Sports. We saw on Barca's starting list, Chutian is still not starting in this very important Champions League group stage. He is a super talented midfielder. Why did Barca choose to let Rakitic replace him in the starting position? Enrique frowned, pondered for a moment, and then gave a reply. Barca are now the first points in Group E. The goal difference is also the first. Regarding the adjustment of the player's appearance, our coaching team has carefully considered. Rakitic is brilliant, his ability is very well-rounded, and his form is very good, scoring goals in the last 2 games. Rakitic has a great sense of club honor. Without Chutian, Rakitic can help Barca win. The Sky Sports reporter continued to ask, Mr. Enrique, after Chutian helped Barca win a crucial game, did Barca not need him? Chutian's current age is the fastest period of his career. Will Barca put him on the bench and waste his talent? Many young talented players who do not play in the game will be greatly reduced in strength. Have you Barcelona considered this? Enrique frowned. I refuse to answer this question. Other reporters continued to ask questions. Mr. Enrique, when it comes to playing against the strong teams of Sevilla, Atletico, Real Madrid and Roma, it is Chutian who decides the game by himself. It was he who led Barca to victory, and Rakitic has won against some weak teams. Why did Barca make such a stupid decision? Let Rakitic replace Chutian? Bayer Leverkusen is not a weak team. Enrique was a little angry and shouted, Rakitic is fully capable of playing Barcelona's main midfield position. Before Chutian appeared, Rakitic was the main force. It's the same against the strong and the weak. Not much difference, it's all 90 minutes of racing. Every attack by Rakitic. Every assist also proved his ability. Leverkusen is confident. I don't want to use too many words to prove that Barca are strong. Barca will keep winning streak and beat Bayer Leverkusen. Chutian sat on the bench and listened to a Champions League theme song. In this Champions League match, which can directly determine the group's qualification, Barca still did not let him start. Not far away, 2 staff members of the Barca club began to whisper, what if Chutian wants to play? The club instructed that only 1 shirt from Chutian needed to be brought to the away game. Don't be afraid, Chutian has no chance to play, and the coaching staff will not disobey the will of the senior management. Barca staff were instructed by the top that they would not prepare a change of jersey for Chutian. According to FIFA regulations, the club prepares 4 sets of jerseys for the players in each game. The subtext of Barca's top brass is simple. Chutian will not have a chance to play. Chutian watched as the players from both sides stepped onto the green field one by one. In his previous life, he rarely watched the Bundesliga and did not know much about Bayer Leverkusen. Chutian's impression, Bayer Leverkusen has some strong seasons and some seasons are very weak. He glanced at the faces of the Bayer Leverkusen players on the pitch. A bit shocked. Bayer Leverkusen's lineup in 2015 is very strong. Their players are not just strong, it's also very terrierful, especially the back waist, Kramer. In the 2014 World Cup final, he shocked the world. It's not a shock of strength, he was the starting back of the Chariot Nation at the time. In a fierce collision in the first half, he concussed and lost his memory. When you wake up, you completely forget that this is the World Cup. The national team teammate later said, Kramer was also exchanging jerseys with the referee, and he was a super diehard of Pokemon. He's the prince of skiing, he is the hero of Dortmund, right? Not Bayer Leverkusen, he hasn't played for Dortmund, but he's a hero for countless Dortmund fans. Chutian took another look. Çalhanoğlu, the strongest free kick master in the competition, known as King of Chia. He was the cornerstone of AC Milan revival a few years later. His news was even more explosive. Bale was passing the ball to himself 3 seconds later. Çalhanoğlu was giving his girlfriend green to himself 3 months later. And Bayer Leverkusen's goalkeeper, Leno. He's also a professional basketball player. Hernandez, Bella Rabbi. The faces of each Leverkusen player were full of stems. CTV5 Live Room. Duan Xian began to introduce the starting list of players from both sides. Barca midfielders, Busquets, Rakitic, Iniesta. No Chutian's name? Countless Yenwa fans were puzzled and angrily sent out bullet screens. Champions League group stage. Why don't you let Chutian appear? Play the Bundesliga. Why is Chutian still pressed on the bench? Professional players, if you can't play the ball, if you can't maintain the state of the game, you will regress a lot. How many stars, after being refrigerated by the club, disappeared into the European arena? Chutian has not played 2 games. In the long run, is Barca going to abolish him? Like Van Beat 10. Ned. Falcao. These famous football geniuses were all ruined after being cold. Can't play the ball. What are Barcelona doing now? Word. Episode 106. Soulless Barca, Overlord contract exposed. The referee blew the whistle for the start of the game. Barca took the lead in kicking off. Suarez passed the ball back to Busquets. Players from both sides immediately spread out in formation. Busquets was a little uncomfortable. He was used to looking for Chutian. Football came in the Barca backfield after a few backwards. It began to attack Bayer Leverkusen's half. The Barca players have very delicate foot skills. The ball passes quickly at the feet of the red and blue jersey. The technique of the Bundesliga players is slightly rougher. They could not stop Barca's advance for a while, and could only retreat one after another. As soon as the game opened, there was a picture we were used to. Barca put Bayer Leverkusen in the big box. Siege unfolded. Rakitic received the pass. Take a look at the opposing side's back line. Trying to find a vulnerability, Bayer Leverkusen's defense is much stronger than Osasuna and Levante. I can't find an opportunity for a while. He passed the ball back to Busquets. Bayer Leverkusen's back, Kramer, clings to Iniesta. Barca forward MSN was also closely watched by Bayer Leverkusen's players. Busquets frowned. There is no good point. He split the ball down the right. Alves received the ball on the flank. Bayer Leverkusen's left defensive line was immediately tightened. Kramer stepped forward alone. All kinds of fake moves in Alves. Kramer's center of gravity was not affected by half a point. Barca's right back was somewhat helpless, saw Messi being held close by the two, gave up the idea of passing forward. The ball was knocked across to Rakitic, who was coming up. Kramer immediately blocked his angle of exit. Rakitic could not find any flaw in the opposing line. In desperation, he could only pass the ball back to his teammates. He began to get a little impatient. What's going on? Obviously, the tactical drill has been rehearsed many times. In the last few minutes, Barca's possession has completely prevailed. Rakitic is the highest number of passes. He has vaguely become the core of Barca's midfield. Barca didn't have a good chance to threaten the goal. Bayer Leverkusen's defense is doing a great job. I'm still seeing Bayer Leverkusen defending for the first time, haha. The technical tactics of other leagues are improving. Only the Bundesliga, or a big deal. Now it's day, and soon you will be able to see Dakai. Haha, Barca seems to be missing something, but it seems to suppress Leverkusen. But in fact there is no threat at all. Yes, every player seems to be standing still. The pass is falling to the foot. There is no chance of a fatal threat. Courtside, Enrique's brow furrowed. During this time, the tactics with Rakitic as the core have been rehearsed many times in the training camp. The 6th round of La Liga also passed the defensive test of Levante. Now Barca have the initiative on the pitch. It's a pity that the situation is not enough. Simply can't tear apart Leverkusen's defenses. Their defense can't be better than Roma and Atletico. Think of it here. The Barca boss glanced at Chutian on the bench. Enrique had mixed thoughts. During this time, the Barca high level not only instructed not to let Chutian play. It also allowed the coaching team not to allow Chutian to participate in the team's training confrontation. Every day Barca players are training in the squad. The Yenwa teenagers were all training alone in the corner of the training ground, without half a word of complaint. The other side, Logsmith had a smile on his face. He didn't expect Barca's attack to be so rigid and not a little threatening. Barca's midfielder has lost its soul. Unable to deliver firepower to MSN, Bayer Leverkusen, the manager, glanced at Enrique. Barca, too small to look at us at Bayer Leverkusen. Don't let us grab the chance to fight back. On the pitch, the game was already in the 20th minute. Barca still have a very high possession rate, but Rakitic couldn't pass a fatal threat. The Bayer Leverkusen fans in the stands erupted in boos. Barcelona, are you stalling for time? What does it mean to pass around? I'm going to sleep when I see it. This kind of game, I can go up and play. Barcelona, do you hire temporary workers? I 50 euros a day. Play better than your stars. Rakitic began to get a little impatient. He saw less of the inside of the penalty area. Regardless of whether there is a ball angle, a long pass directly. The ball was passed reluctantly. Neither is the strength and height. The football has not yet flown into the box. It was jumped high by Kramer and pushed out. Busquets hurried to the drop point and stopped the ball. He was very uncomfortable with the game without Chutian's cooperation. The ball was passed back to Rakitic. Rakitic was very anxious, and it was a long pass to hang the penalty area. As a result, he was released by Bayer Leverkusen's defender with a big foot and kicked out of bounds. In the stands, the boos of Bayer Leverkusen fans are getting louder and louder. Barca playing long pass rush hanging? Did I read that right? Don't look at a few high points in the forbidden area. Just pass the ball. Laugh at me, the Barca players are in a hurry, the game is only 20 minutes. Rakitic held the ball forward and glanced at Kramer, who was approaching at high speed. He didn't pass the ball. He's going to pass. I'm Rakitic. You can be the same. Rakitic pulled the ball with his right foot. Then tried to turn around. Kramer easily broke the ball. Rakitic looked irritated. Oops. The ball was robbed. Kramer's foot is beautiful. Followed by Bayer Leverkusen's frontcourt players began to run. Football passes quickly at the feet of Sharanoglu. Hernandez soon came to the heart of Barcelona. Sharanoglu splits. Sun Xingqian caught the ball. Thunderous cheers erupted from the stands. Chutian looked up, a lot of baseball fans, but Sun Xingqian in this period did not grow into a complete body. He dribbled the ball and tried to get into the box, destroyed by Peak's easy footing. Bayer Leverkusen is very quick to cooperate in the front. They didn't defend as solidly as Roma. This time on attack, you can see that the Leverkusen players' foot skills are also very good. Isn't Bayer Leverkusen a fish belly team? How does it seem a bit powerful? That Kramer, how did he break the ball so badly? Leverkusen is not a fish belly, their nickname is Crownless Kussen. Before being injured, Kramer was able to play in the World Cup final and was recognized as a talented back in Germany. He has a strong ability to pass long distances. Dortmund fans love him. He shot from a long distance last season, broke through his own goal and gave Borussia Dortmund a crucial victory. Kramer's ultra-long-range shot, if it wasn't for his own goal, would definitely win the Prickers prize. The game continues. Rakitic received a pass from the back. Start organizing the offensive. He glanced at Iniesta's position. Pass the ball diagonally. Iniesta ran halfway, stopped, and was a little confused. I inserted in front of me. How can Rakitic still pass to that position? Kramer appeared and easily intercepted the ball. Rakitic's face darkened. The baseball fans in the stands erupted in boos. No, why did Rakitic pass such a ball? It's not to make Iniesta look back, nor is it to keep charging forward. Subsequently, Kramer is on a fast attack again. Bayer Leverkusen's players are running very fast. Rakitic was still trying to explain to Iniesta. Football has come to the feet of Sharanoglu. Sharanoglu looked up, a long pass with one foot obliquely. Crossed the half, came to the right side of the Barca half. Sun Xingqian stopped the ball. High-speed start-up. Alba is chasing back like crazy. Cheers from the baseball fans erupted in the stands. Bayer Leverkusen's fullback, Hilbert, followed up too. He galloped along the sidelines. Fast, Sun Xingqian pushed the ball over with one foot. Hilbert receives the ball. Take the ball to the corner flag zone. 1 foot undersole cross, the ball swirls and flies into the box. Landing points are very threatening. Bayer Leverkusen striker Hernandez jumps high. Just head the ball into the goal. Danger, pity, just a little height. Bayer Leverkusen striker can touch the football. Hernandez is too short. Ter Stegen jumped up and held the ball steady. The Barca players are in a state of pouting. If Hernandez had been 1.8 meters tall, the score would have been changed by Ter Stegen's goal. Peak received the ball and passed it to Busquets. Sharanoglu immediately rushed forward. Busquets crossed the ball and passed it to Rakitic. Rakitic observed Alves forward, pushing the ball towards the right. The force of the pass is too great. Football flies out of bounds. Alves waved his hand helplessly. In the past, when Chutian was present, the pass near the middle circle would not give such a large amount of advance. Barca always give the ball back to the other side. No, now Barca are not playing like Barca at all. Now the possession rate is 50%, 50%. It's unbelievable. Bayer Leverkusen's oppression is not very strong. Teammates were uncomfortable with Rakitic's passing. Bayer Leverkusen has fought for the ball again and again. A very fast and intensive offensive was organized. Many times almost threatened the Barca goal. Hernandez and Sun Xingqian in their forward line belong to players who are particularly strong in turning, very fast and very spiritual in running position. It was troublesome for Peak. All the Barca players, at this time, feel that the team's cooperation is very uncoordinated. The tactics with Rakitic at its core are very messy. It's hard to kick. Barcelona lost its soul. Meanwhile, a copy of the newly baked World Sports spread throughout Europe. Barca's high-level overlord clause. Yanhua teenager sky-high liquidated damages. 80% portrait rights. 6th-year salary in the team. Countless people were furious when they saw the report. Episode 107. The conspiracy is exposed. The filthy of the Barca hierarchy. Other sports media have also kept pace. Yanhua boy and Barca are now hot words. A series of reports on the overlord clause at the top of Barcelona rushed out. Sixth-year salary in the team, sky-high liquidated damages? 80% portrait rights? Infuriated fans across Europe. Even if they are not Barca fans, they are indignantly upset about Chutian. Chutian's contribution this season. It is the first in the team, why give him the sixth-year salary in the team? Rakitic's annual salary is still above Chutian? Why? Has he contributed anything this season? 1-2 fish belly teams, sky-high liquidated damages. I've never seen such a high penalty. It's a conspiracy. No way. Blood pressure is up, I have to call my personal doctor over. Overlord clause. It turned out that it wasn't Chutian dragging the contract. It is you Barcelona executives who have come up with unequal contracts. The truth is clear. It is not Chutian who delays the contract and raises his value, it is Barca's overlord clause. Barca executives pressed Chutian on the bench. Put pressure on Chutian. Not letting him play, it's a kind of transducer violence. Then multimedia says Chutian doesn't love Barca. Now it seems that Chutian is the one who loves Barcelona the most. Other players are treated like this. Long time out of Barca, 80% portrait rights. Isn't this robbery? Players on both sides seemed unhappy with the 0-0 win in the first half. Rakitic hung his head in frustration. The faces of Barca's teammates were also full of helplessness. If Chutian had been there, we would have penetrated Bayer Leverkusen's backline long ago. Bayer Leverkusen's players feel that Barca are nothing more than that. Hernandez rushed to the camera, raised his hand, and compared it to height. I'm thin and bloody rice, 2-1 field flow 1. CTV live room. Who is this kid? So arrogant. Little Peas. Pea shooter, Manchester United's former shoulder handle. Number 1 striker. It was him. Why is his nickname Little P? Because short? Because his dad is also a football star, nicknamed P, so he is called Little P. Barca dressing room. Enrique tapped on the tactical board and shouted, "We have to keep the control of the first half. Solid defense. Can't let Bayer Leverkusen fight back. Bayer Leverkusen defenders will be depleted of physical strength very quickly. There will be a flaw. We will seize the opportunity. Beat them. You have to pass the ball to Rakitic, who is the heart of the midfield. Barca's current offensive and defensive conversion is up to him to sort out. The connection between the front and the backcourt. It's up to him to string it together." Done. He led an irritated Rakitic to a corner. Gentle said, "You should be calm and calm, don't be impatient. Your few long passes in the first half of the box are very unreasonable. We don't have a high point in the box. We don't have the advantage of high balls. And the other side's back Kramer, you shouldn't be tough with him. Grasp the precision of every pass. Rakitic, we can't afford to lose the ball again." Rakitic took a deep breath and nodded seriously. However, he still had no way to take Bayer Leverkusen's back line. The other side, Bayer Leverkusen dressing room. Roger Schmidt asked aloud, "Lads, how did this first half feel?" Kramer exclaimed, "It feels so good. I met Messi. It's been a year since saying goodbye to him in the World Cup final. Messi is like the Pope. I didn't even dare to speak around him." As he spoke, he sensed that something was wrong with the atmosphere in the dressing room and quickly closed his mouth. He is a fan of Messi. Roger Schmidt's face darkened. Hernandez hurriedly said, "Barca is not good, far worse than Bayern." Carhanulu added, "They're just keeping passing the ball. The passing accuracy is also very poor. It seems that La Liga is in decline, and it is not a level of intensity at all with the Bundesliga." Goalkeeper Leno smiled and said, "I even want to sleep against the doorpost." Sun Xingxian smiled and did not speak. Roger Schmidt clapped his hands. "Great, lads, don't feel aggrieved defensively. Keep up with this." In the second half, we gave Barca a fatal blow. The second half of the game begins. Bayer Leverkusen kick-off. Hernandez kicked off the ball back to Kramer. The next moment Bayer Leverkusen began to press forward in a frenzy. The entire formation is centered on Sharanoglu. Football is passing fast into the heart of Barcelona. Meanwhile, Bayer Leverkusen's defender and goalkeeper weren't too far ahead. The gap in the own half is not large. Hernandez and Sun Xingxian began to switch places. If there is a God perspective, in this instant, the entire formation of Leverkusen will be found to have turned into an anchor. Leverkusen overall feels like fast. They should be trying to grab a second half start. Carhanulu 1 foot obliquely straight. Sun Xingxian, who wants to find a side road to go inward. Mascherano rushed over. Rakitic had already taken a step ahead of him and forced Sun Xingxian. Mascherano hurriedly stopped. In the confrontation of the Kramer top league that is plugged in, the most taboo is to grab the defense. 11-man matches, positional warfare, each defender has a main defensive area. Even down to everyone, there will be opposing enemy players. Other team members can only participate in the defense. You can't just grab the defense. According to Enrique's original arrangement, Mascherano had no problem defending Sun Xingxian at all. Rakitic's counterpart is Kramer. but he rushed to defend, messed up. At this time, Sun Xingxian did not have the archery technique of the later famous Shen Chao, but his extraordinary ability is already top-notch. He stopped the ball, avoid. Fooled Rakitic's center of gravity, flicked the ball to the left again. The whole person followed the bottom line and dribbled into the penalty area. The baseball fans in the stands applauded wildly. Crazy cheers. Ter Stegen is waiting. Seal the near corner. Players from both sides frantically ran into the penalty area. In the midst of chaos, Sun Xingxian's inverted triangle return pass opportunity was also blocked. He shoots straight in the face. Zero angle door. The ball bounced on Ter Stegen. Peak hurriedly pressed Kissling to jump, push the ball out of the box. The landing point of the football, right near Rakitic. Is Barca's counterattack about to begin? Kramer rushed forward before the football landed. Gu opened Rakitic. One kick long shot. Football crashes into the far goalpost. Ter Stegen flew to save. Right in front of the door line. Fingers. Throw the ball out of the bottom line. The audience sighed. It's so thrilling. Ter Stegen got flutter. Destroyed this must score. What a fierce attack from Leverkusen. Groove. Worthy of being the second in the Bundesliga. Worthy of the Champions League. You found that no, Chutian was not present, and Barca's defense was in disarray. Yes, although Chutian rarely takes on the task of defending, his passing and running position can defuse the attack on the opposite side. Except for Real Madrid and Atletico, as long as it is Chutian's playing time, the average team can rarely break through Barca's door. Chutian brought Barca not only offense, but also defense. Why is midfield important? Because it's a tandem offense, a tandem defense at the heart of the line. Bayer Leverkusen corner kick sent out. Kissling and Peak compete for the top. Football pops up the bottom line again. The duo immediately signaled to the referee, this is a goal. It's a corner. Referee looking at the flag that the referee is raising. Signal that this is a goal. How I feel like Barca is getting a breather. No, I won't really lose to Bayer Leverkusen. Rest assured, this is the time slot with the highest goal rate for Bayer Leverkusen, and they are used to playing a three-plate axe at the start of the second half. Bayer Leverkusen, the striker, looks pretty handsome. Looks like the one in Twilight. I heard that Kissling's job is a chef. He has produced recipes, and the sales are very good. Ter Stegen sent a goal. Mascherano passed the ball to Busquets. He was a little helpless. If Chutian was present and controlled the game, he would not let the back line have so much pressure at all. Busquets handed the ball to Rakitic. Rakitic struggled to keep himself calm, then start combing through the midfield with passing and running. Barca are back to a pass for the sake of passing state. Bayer Leverkusen's attack was too fierce during this time, and Rakitic wanted to keep the pace steady. Duan Xian's words were a bit against his heart, but the leadership of Thierry now attaches great importance to La Liga and the Champions League, and he has to pay attention to the words. I really envy the online commentary of the popular platform, and can unscrupulously evaluate the situation of the scene. The game came to the 60th minute. Barca's endless passing, there were mistakes. Rakitic and Iniesta did not think of going together. The pass between the two was cut off by Kramer. Leverkusen's counterattack is here again. The fans in the stands began cheering. Followed by, Kramer passed the ball to Çalhanoğlu. The latter is a straight foot. The football went straight past the half. Sun Xingxian started at high speed. Bring up the ball. Mascherano is on hot. Fortunately, in 2015, Sun Xingxian did not break out as fast as Sulla and Bale. Mascherano at the top of the arc in the penalty area. Catch up with Sun Xinghan. Ter Stegen is on the move. Sun Xingxian is preparing to pick up the hanging door. Mascherano made a bold decision. Right foot one step. Stuck Sun Xingxian. Sun Xingxian hesitated. Fell to the ground. Beep. The referee blew the whistle. Pointed to the location of the foul, a free kick in a dangerous position. In this position, a lot of people in Bayer Leverkusen have the ability to hit the goal directly. So close, Barca is in danger. This ball, Çalhanoğlu to play, 100% goal. Do not enter my live bubble face wash hair. Çalhanoğlu is an active free kick master in the 5 major leagues. He scored 11 free kicks last season. The first person in Europe. His free kick has reached the point of being magical. Large, episode 108, the Barcelona crisis? Chutian debuted. Enrique's face was full of sorrow. Before the game, the Barca coaching staff rigorously analyzed every player at Bayer Leverkusen, and the free kick of Çalhanoğlu attracted their attention. Bayer Leverkusen's excellent midfielder scored 11 free kicks last season. He is the current master of free kicks in the 5 major leagues, and his free kick arc is very clever. Always go over the human wall and go straight to the corner. The technique and method of breaking the door is different every time. Barca's goalkeeper coach can't figure out his goalkeeping habits. During this time, Leverkusen's offensive was too fierce. It's terrifying. If Barca are behind, Bayer Leverkusen will take back the offensive and hold firm. There may be no chance of equalizing. The Barca boss began to panic, anxiously pacing back and forth on the pitch. The other side, Logsmith, was ecstatic. He has a sensibility that does not belong to the coach of the Chariot Nation. I can't help but want to celebrate in advance. The location of this free kick is fantastic. Sun Xinghan helped us create a great opportunity. Çalhanoğlu, at that free throw spot, played 100 times and scored 100. The camera returns to the court. Barca's penalty area has a wall of people in front of it. Ter Stegen was a little nervous. Before the Champions League, Barca's goalkeeper coach specifically told, the arc of Çalhanoğlu's free kick is dangerous. Before the penalty spot, only Çalhanoğlu is alone. That's what Leverkusen has in Çalhanoğlu. That's true of every free kick last season. No need for teammates to help cover up, to disturb the goalkeeper's side of the Barca bench. Maddie asked incredulously, Bravo, which side is the habit of Çalhanoğlu to play? Can little Stegen pounce? Bravo raised an eyebrow. I don't know. I'm not a gypsy diviner. The goalkeeper coach has studied his footage and he has scored 25 free kicks in 2 seasons, and even with that large base, it is impossible to analyze his shooting habits, because of his free throw point every time. It's all the same. Left foot, right-footed free kicks can be scored. The big brother was a loud voice that immediately attracted the ears of the substitutes and club staff. Enrique and Wensu also subconsciously turned back. Chutian's face was expressionless, and his tone was flat. The upper left corner. Çalhanoğlu started running, not fast. Great stride. 5 steps to the free throw spot. The leg swing is small. Call, left foot kicked on the football. This moment, everyone started to get nervous. The ball went straight to the middle of the goal. The wall of people in front of the forbidden area bounced high. The soccer ball draws an arc in a weird way, hanging straight to the top left corner of the goal. Ter Stegen was bewildered by this strange arc and misjudged the wrong direction. He flew sideways, but it's too late. Football exploded into the net. 1-0. Cheers from the audience, just at the moment of scoring. Barca bench, all the substitutes, the staff, including Enrique and Wensu, looked back at the Yenghua teenager with a sluggish face. Bravo opened his mouth wide and muttered, Chutian. How do you know? 1-0. Çalhanoğlu free kick scored. Help Leverkusen take the lead. What a wonderful arc, like a heavy weight. Upset the balance on the field. He's paying homage to David Beckham. He is the reincarnation of the full moon curved knife. Duan Xian was a little excited. I have to say, the king of the ball is a free kick, and it is indeed worthy of the name. Chutian Xian iron heavy sword. Çalhanoğlu full moon curved knife. The legacy of free kicks has not been broken. Both are men who kick free kicks as penalties. From the perspective of our audience, it is an arc, and from the perspective of the human wall, it is a ball that will bend. Since Beckham retired, I've never seen such a handsome arc again. This ball, serve the breath. Çalhanoğlu and his teammates rushed to the sidelines. Danced. Crazy celebration. Bayer Leverkusen's fans stood up and gave him the warmest applause. The Sticks, the country fans, were also shouting wildly. However, it was Sun Xingqian's name that was shouted out. They believe that the biggest contributor to this goal is Sun Xingqian. Without Sun Xingqian's single knife, where is the free kick? Matador Nation. Don Neymar. The facade was painted reddish-blue. It bears a huge Barca insignia. This bar is a gathering place for Barca fans, open only on Barca matchday. The interior of the bar is full of photos of Barca's legendary stars. The glass of drinking wine is engraved with the head of the Barca star. Hundreds of Barca fans, watching the big screen, watched Barca get broken by that free kick. The stereo came out, goal. The cheers for the goal were particularly harsh. The anger of the Barca fans can no longer be suppressed. Stimulated by alcohol, they all broke out and scolded. Chutian is a gift from God to us. Barca executives are now trampling on this gift. Chu genius is the soul of Barca. Why not let Chu Tiansheng play? The upper echelons of the club are all rice buckets. Why treat our geniuses like this? Enrique is blind. Barca executives are also blind. Sky-high liquidated damages. Low annual salary, 80% portrait rights. Barca executives are the real vampires. Finish using Chutian. Let's just say that the points are ahead. Let Ricky Dickey steal Chutian's credit. Chariot Nation. Bayer Athletic Stadium. The cheers subsided. Players from both sides are back in the middle circle. Roger Smith smiled. He thinks Barca have already lost. He thinks his team can score a few more goals for Barca. Beep. The referee blew the whistle. The game reopens. Suarez's expression was impatient. Pass the ball back to Rakitic. Barca have no patience to pass in midfield. Rakitic passed the ball directly to Messi on the run. Kramer almost broke the ball. Fortunately, Messi came out faster. Pull the ball. controlled underfoot. Is Messi going to replicate a goal from 5 in a row? Messi watched and knocked the ball across to Iniesta, who was coming up. Against Real Madrid, the reason why they were able to break through 5 people in a row was because Real Madrid's formation at that time was very chaotic, the players' mentality was not good, and the defensive execution of the position was not high. Now, Bayer Leverkusen's defenders have fully played the rigor, calmness, and meticulousness unique to the people of the Chariot Nation. In recent years, the styles of the other 4 major leagues have been blending and improving. Only the Bundesliga, its own stylistic characteristics and tactics are not contrary to each other. Discipline, tactics, rigor. It is synonymous with Bundesliga teams. After Barca fell behind by 1 goal, the overall rhythm of the team became more and more chaotic under the impetuous Rakitic instigation. The teammates also became impatient. Bayer Leverkusen's players looked relaxed. Barca gave up passing and the intention of each pass was clear, to go straight into the box to find MSN. Barca is in a hurry. The easier it will be for Bayer Leverkusen. Time passes minute by minute. There's not much time left for Barca. Duan sighed. Wasted 65 minutes of my life. What is Barca playing here? What a mess. Not as good as the first half. Now the ball doesn't land very well. Both sides rush to grab, always foul. Always out of bounds. Am I looking at the Chinese Super League? Is this transmission control? Stoke City in the Premier League doesn't have you Rakitic like long passes hanging in the penalty area. Stoke City is downgraded. The beautiful long pass rushes to hang. A whole row of 2-meter muscle men cannot see. Enrique, you really let Chutian go to the scene. Courtside, Enrique desperately made a press-down gesture and shouted at the Barca players, "Don't worry. Don't worry." Look at Bayer Leverkusen's rigorous and meticulous backline on the pitch. The Barca boss has a deep sense of powerlessness, more powerless than when he was behind Atletico, behind Sevilla, behind Real Madrid, because at that time, he still had one hope, Chutian. Now, he's telling the players don't rush, maybe it's just a kind of self-consolation. Don't be in a hurry, calm down, can you equalize? The 0-0 in the first half had already told him the answer. Enrique was envious of Guardiola, Munerio. Both managers will take what the club executives say as a fart. Even during their coaching, they dared to scold the club executives who pointed fingers. But Enrique was different. His failure to coach Rome was profoundly painful. Barca is the most cherished opportunity of his coaching career. Ultimately, Enrique's feelings for Barcelona overcame everything. Barca can't lose. He immediately called out to Wensu. Let Chutian warm up. Ah, coach, you didn't say before. Enrique's face regained its radiance. Don't ask. Leverkusen is more troublesome than we thought. We need Chutian. Barca need Chutian. I see, coach. Wensu immediately turned and ran to the coaching bench. Chutian, go warm up. Chutian's expression was calm. Take off your coat. Walk to the side of the court. The game came to the 70th minute. Iniesta broke through the siege of Kislin and Canoglu. The ball was split between Messi, who was inserted from the right. Alves immediately set the edges. Messi starts. Bayer Leverkusen's defenders were a bit panicked. He was facing Messi for the first time. Normal people walk on the ground with their left foot, right foot, right foot, step by step, but only 2 people are different. Messi and Robin, because when these 2 people break through with the ball, running is super high speed, left foot, right foot. The whole world knows that Robin wants to cut inside. But I can't stop it. The whole world knows Messi is going to pass. But I can't stop it. Bayer Leverkusen's defender, shook down by Messi, wonderful. Messi is in the box. 1. The referee blew the whistle. Kramer fouled him and brought Messi down. Free kick on the line of the big penalty area. Barca are going to be replaced. Moment. All eyes were on the middle circle of the court. Yenghua teenager stood by the side of the 4th referee. The breeze on the banks of the Rhine blew up his black hair. Episode 109. This is the real full moon, curved knife. Chutian's skills are amazing for. In front of the TV, countless Barca fans clenched their fists. Excitement. The haze in everyone's heart has disappeared. Seeing the figure of the Yenghua teenager, it is as if you have seen the victory of Barca. Barca have made a substitution adjustment. Replace Rakitic. Replace Chutian. On the pitch, the Barca players looked at Chutian with a look of anticipation. Especially Messi and Iniesta. There is only one exception, Rakitic standing in front of the free throw spot. He glanced back at the LED substitution card. I saw the figure of the Yenghua teenager. His face changed. This free kick should be freed by me. Why should the coach be replaced at this time? The race is not over yet. I'm at the heart of Barca. I was able to lead Barca to an equalizer. Beep. The referee rushed forward and advised him to hurry up and leave the scene quickly. Rakitic's face was gray. Reluctantly go out of bounds. Chutian stepped onto the green field. Sporadic applause rang out from the stands. There are not many Barca fans who come to the Chariot country to watch the game. Sporadic applause was quickly drowned out by boos from the Baseball Nation fans. Sun Xinghan is the #1 star in Asia. How can a Yenhua player sitting on the bench be compared to Sun Xingxian? The barrage on the Yenhua video website exploded. Really, what is there to be excited about on the bench? Chutian compared to Sun Xingxian? Far from it. The boos are getting louder and louder. Chutian's expression was calm, and he walked to the free throw spot. Messi, Nasheo, and Iniesta took the initiative to give up this free throw opportunity. The penalty spot is located outside the boundary of the big penalty area, and all three people are not in a good habit of punishing. The Yenhua teenagers' powerful free kicks in the previous game have conquered them. Bayer Leverkusen's players lined up a high wall of people. Kramer exclaimed, "I just hugged Messi." He is a huge fan of Messi, and after winning the World Cup final in 2014, he did not even talk about his teammates in an interview with reporters, but frantically bragged about Messi. Charhanulu's face darkened. "With your hands, protect the heart and crotch." Free kick from the Yenhua kid. Very fierce. The Leverkusen team members protected the position of the heart and the crotch. They had seen Chutian's nuclear bomb heavy artillery free kick on TV. Too fierce. It was horrible. If you are hit in the crotch by this explosion, the consequences are unimaginable. When Roger Schmidt saw Chutian on the field, the laughter suddenly stopped. His face turned black. "Don't you Barcelona have a face? Isn't it to put pressure on the Yenhua boy to make him a cold bench?" Bayer Leverkusen's coaching staff is very rigorous. They have analyzed Chutian's huge role in the offensive and defensive ends of a team. After Chutian came to Barcelona, all the game videos, they have carefully studied the rigorous Chariot countryman, but they are not ignorant baseball fans. Bayer Leverkusen's coaching staff knows the importance of Chutian to Barca. Of course, they also know that Barca's top management will not let Chutian play because of contract problems. Roger Schmidt was originally an auto mechanic. He knew that Chutian was Barca's transmission. It's Barcelona's engine. He stared viciously at Enrique. "It's really shameless, can't kick it on Chutian." Barca is the same as Bayer Leverkusen. There was only Chutian alone in front of the penalty spot. The position of this free kick is too close to the goal. It's also too close to the human wall. Barca should be able to make tactical free kick combinations. It's too close to the human wall. It's impossible to hit the door directly. Duanxian cut through the railway. I agree with the commentary that the position of the free kick is not as close as possible. This penalty spot on the line of the big penalty area is in front of the wall of people who are slanted. Unless Chutian's ball will turn, it would be nice to be farther away. The Gentetsu Ape exploded. Obviously it is a pass. Chutian is only powerful, and he is not a free kick master like Charhanulu. Hey, why did Chutian go to the left of the penalty spot? His position, the free throw point, the goal, connected to a right triangle. Chutian did not choose to retreat this time. Instead, it came to the left 2 meters from the free throw spot. He looked in the direction of the goal. The view is obscured by dense, human walls. Start running. Everyone's eyes widened. The goal is over there. Why did he run sideways? Chutian slowly accelerated. Countless clips of the blonde back of the ball flashed in my mind. Every step of the way, the adjustment of the right foot tiptoe is getting bigger and bigger. From God's point of view, there was a brilliant, incomparably brilliant rainbow line. Come to the ball. Left foot support. Swing your right leg. Turn around. Inner instep. Shoot with one kick. Football is like a rainbow. Time seems to freeze at this moment. Everyone held their breath. Eyes wide open, the ball spins at high speed, drawing an incredibly beautiful arc on the pitch. Cross the outermost side of the human wall. Everyone thought the ball was going to fly out of the bottom line. The trajectory of the football has changed, gradually falling. Turn to the goal. Bayer Leverkusen goalkeeper Leno simply couldn't react. Football carries a wonderful trajectory, blasted into Bay goal. 1-1. Silence. What a wonderful arc. This is the real full moon curved knife. How did Chutian do it? What an incredible goal. It was definitely the best goal in the Champions League this season. Duanxian was shocked incoherently, even forgot to broadcast score changes and goal players. CTV5 live room. After the barrage stopped for a moment. Crazy screen swipe. When did Chutian learn this trick? Real Bayesian arc. Full moon, curved knife. That free kick arc of Bishar Honoru is much bigger. Barca really doesn't want a face, but it still depends on Chutian to kick. Don't say that. Chutian is suitable for Barca's system, and Barca is also suitable for Chutian, and the two complement each other. Barca is suitable for Chutian? Complement one another? Hee. In front of the TV, countless fans, obsessively watching the replay of the goal on the screen, forthwith, dancing with excitement. Crazy shouts. Don Neymar. There was also a roar of earth-shaking shouts. The evil gas accumulated in the chest of Barca fans also expressed a meter ugly with Chutian's goal. Barca executives. A bunch of crap, this goal. Slap them in the face with a loud slap. Chutian. Well done. Chutian's free kick broke the goal. Helped Barca equalize. With only 18 minutes left in the game to play, how will Barca's substitution change the situation? Chutian eased up from the shock and broadcast the score in time. On the pitch, the Barca players ran excitedly to Chutian. Chutian waved his hand, signaling his teammates to hurry up, and the score was only equalized. Charhanulu looked at the silhouette of the young man of Yengua and was shocked in his heart. As a free kick master, he knows that Beckham's full moon curved knife is not something that anyone can copy. This uses the tiptoe of the support foot, drives the body torso to tilt, and then kicks the large arc free kick with the inner instep. The requirements for the player's physical coordination, power delivery method, and touch part of the ball are extremely high. A little carelessness is a sprained support foot. David Beckham has also been practicing for many years since he was a child, and he only showed this trick in the Premier League in his 20s. Yengua boy. It looks like he's only 17 or 18 years old, and he's actually trained. The game reopens. Morale on the Barca side was boosted. Bayer Leverkusen's player form has not languished or impatience. Bundesliga players rarely affect mood because of score changes. They play too many goals. Kisling kicked off and passed back to Kramer. The latter passed the ball to Charanoglu. The formations of the two sides immediately dispersed. Charanoglu gave the ball to Sun Xingxuan. Hilbert slipped the hem in. Sun Xingxian received the ball. Start the side quest today. Mascherano a sliding shovel. Break the ball cleanly, and didn't let the ball out of bounds. He immediately passed the ball to Busquets. Busquets didn't have to look up. 1 foot on the ground for a long pass. I found Chutian's location. This is the real tacit understanding of La Masia. Chutian touched 837 to the ball. The whole Barca is like coming alive. Chutian saw the ball rolling in. There was no choice to touch the ball with 1 foot. He stopped the ball steadily, faced Kramer, who was pressing up at high speed, left foot to the ball, a sideways stroke. Turn around, dodged Kramer's foot. It was so chic. It's this simple and efficient turn to get rid of again. Chutian did not continue to hold the ball forward. In his field of vision, 2 brilliant passing lines appeared. Kick the instep of your left foot towards the bottom of the soccer ball. The football rises off the ground. High-speed swing, fly to the middle of Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen's 2 center-backs began to run to the football's drop point. There's no threat to this ball. What? It's another big arc ball. The soccer ball flew halfway through the air, suddenly crashed to the right side of the court. Suarez crossed the back line. The pass's landing point is right in front of you. No one interferes. The moment he stopped the ball, he couldn't help but exclaim, "This kind of pass is so comfortable." Just a gentle pass. The ball was lightly dotted from Suarez's usual foot. High-speed start-up, head straight to the Leverkusen exclusion zone. The road ahead is wide. What a pass. The arc of the second half of the trajectory is too exaggerated. Everyone thought it was a long pass of a mistake, but it found Suarez as accurately as a tracking missile. Bayer Leverkusen goalkeeper Leno, alone, has teammates to help defend. Face the Barca front. He chose to strike. Suarez grinned. Shoot with 1 kick. The ball graciously crossed Leno's head, flew into the goal. 2-1. Silence. The ball is in. Barca have overtaken Suarez's goal. Chutian's immortal pass assist. It was the rarest midfield long pass goal in a Barcelona match. CTV5 Live Room. Is Barca the best for Chutian? Compliment one another? Hee. Does anyone else say that Chutian is a system player? Punch in the face? Who is the grandfather and who is the grandson? Barca executives have figured it out. Episode 110. Chu Heavenly God descends from heaven and destroys the game of decay. Everyone froze. Chutian went up. Just 5 minutes. With 1 pass and 1 shot, it helps Barca go from trailing to equalizing and then to overtaking. 5 minutes earlier, Bayer Leverkusen had maintained the lead. 5 minutes later, Bayer Leverkusen was already behind. The baseball fans in the stands also fell silent, with only sporadic shouts. Courtside, Roger Schmidt grabbed the assistant coach's shoulder and shook it vigorously and desperately. Damn. I knew it would be like this. Magical Yengua boy? Why didn't the coaching staff know he still had such an arc ball? Enrique. Does Enrique deserve to have such a talented teenager? The assistant coach stretched his face and felt helpless in his heart. Why should I follow this coach who doesn't look like a chariot countryman at all? On the pitch, Chutian's expression was still calm, and he didn't participate too much in the celebration. Not for any other reason. He is in God's perspective. It turned out that Bayer Leverkusen was not a weak team. Their backlines were tight and meticulous. It's like a wall of steel. As long as the Barca players continue to the hinterland, their formation will be immediately tightened. Abandon the perimeter and induce Barca players to launch long passes. High points in the penalty area, they have an absolute advantage. At the same time, this defensive line completely restrained the infiltration of short passes on the ground. If not for the fact that I now have the Bayets arc module, breaking through Leverkusen's gates wasn't an easy task either. There is no weak team that can fight from the 5 major leagues to the Champions League. Chutian thought about it, and he must take the time to look at the next round of Roma's game against Bayer Leverkusen. There must be something else to learn. The lap reopened during the race. The referee blew the whistle. Hernandez passed the ball back to Çalhanoğlu. Çalhanoğlu did not immediately launch an attack. He calmly dodged Iniesta's preemptiveness, passed back to the defender. In just a few seconds, Bayer Leverkusen's players have spread out the offensive formation. Kramer was next to Chutian, the former Chariot country genius back. Knowing that Chu Genius is the most threatening of Barca's midfield, he didn't jump out of trash like other defensive players. Concentrate on following Chutian's running. There's not much time left for Bayer Leverkusen. Sun Xinghan got the ball on the flank. The Baseball Nation fans in the stands immediately cheered and applauded as if their star had scored. Mascherano again made an easy steal. He passed the ball to Chutian, who came to receive him. Hey! As soon as Chutian touched the ball, Barca came back to life. Yenghua teenager touched the ball with one foot. Football pinpointed Iniesta. Messi also began to retreat to the middle. The ball passes back and forth between 3 people. 3 Bayer Leverkusen players in a row. Other Barca players quickly ran into position. The entire Barca formation quickly intruded into Bayer Leverkusen's half. Barca came back to life. This is the soul of Barca. This is the real passing control of Barca. Chutian. It's the real core of Barca's midfield. Barca quickly forced Leverkusen into the big box. Kramer breathed a sigh of relief. This way, fortunately, Barca can't break through our door. We will still have the opportunity to counterattack. Gradually, he noticed something was wrong. Barca's passing now is not at all the same thing as Rakitić's. Chutian's running position pass back and forth. Let the football draw a beautiful arc at the foot of the red and blue jersey. Chutian seems to have improved again. Every pass he takes, whether it's a long pass, a short pass, or a straight pass, according to the different positions of the other party, different arcs of different amplitudes will be outlined. I can only think of using a poem to describe Chutian's current pass. 1,000 flowers have passed, and the leaves do not stick. The players at Bayer Leverkusen couldn't help but be wary. They were controlled by Barca under the leadership of Chutian, pulling and running back and forth. Stamina begins to burn out violently. Match 82nd minute. From God's point of view, Chutian saw the hole in the Leverkusen backline while running. Iniesta had a sharp mind and knocked the ball across. A golden line appeared in the vision of the Yenghua teenager. Stop the ball. Make slight adjustments. The golden line is getting brighter and brighter. Kicker, swing your right leg. 1 kick blast. Call. The sound of the instep of the foot touching the football resounded throughout the Bayer arena. Football is like a cannon. Cross the gap in bays where Bayer Leverkusen players stand. Blast into the top right corner of the goal at high speed. Everyone's eyes widened. Between the electric light and flint, goalkeeper Leno judged the direction. Fly fast. Reached out your left hand. The ball speed of this heavy bombardment is too fast. He didn't touch the ball. Football slammed into Bayer Leverkusen's door. 3-1. The whole Bayer stadium was quiet again. Beautiful. Chutian's long-range shot broke the goal. Wonderful. Barca are 2 goals ahead. Magical Chutian. Magical Yenghua boy. Less than 12 minutes on the pitch. Let the dying Barcelona come alive. All chances for Barcelona. All thanks to Chutian's touch of the ball. Chutian just touches the ball. Barca's attack has a line of thinking. He is the leader in silence. Chutian. It was the game again. When Duan Xian was blowing Chutian, his literary style was particularly good. It's cool to hear. CTV5 will immediately add a chicken leg to Duan Xian. Courtside, Roger Smith, carefully pressing the calculator. The teaching assistant was puzzled. Coach, why are you pressing the calculator? Bayer Leverkusen's boss had a serious expression. Roma were beaten 5-1 by Barca. The game plus the remaining 10 minutes of injury time. As long as we maintain a 3-1 score, we still have the advantage in goal difference. In the last group game, we scored 6 in Bogiasov. We still have a good chance of being the second in the group. The teaching assistant looked sluggish. Is this starting to count points? Roger Smith nodded with a look of reasonableness. Otherwise, there have to be something meaningful. Simeone, Emery, Neville, these coaches can't beat the Yenghua teenagers. What else can I do? Bundesliga teams never leave whole cards. Say it. He dropped the calculator and shouted at the pitch. Don't concede anymore. Be defensive. The game continues. Bayer Leverkusen's frontcourt players were surprised to find that Barca's defense had improved after Chutian had come on. Although the Yenhua teenager did not make too many defensive moves, but his running strategy made Barca's backline more and more complete. Even as long as Barca controlled the ball, Bayer Leverkusen had no chance to come back on the spot. Football will soon reach the feet of the Yenhua teenagers. Chutian seemed to be everywhere. Stands. The baseball players were very quiet. No one shouted. Their son Xingxian, since Chutian came on the court, had only touched the ball once. The performance of the Yenhua teenager made Sun Xingxian's starlight incomparably dim. Time passes minute by minute. It was quickly time for injury time. Bayer Leverkusen could not find any chance to fight back. 94th minute. The last minute of injury time. Chutian's vision lit up again with a brilliant colored line. He kicked the pass. The football jumps in place. In the surprised eyes of the Bayer Leverkusen defender, flew to the restricted area. Goalkeeper Leno hastily judged the location of the landing point, but the football flew halfway through. The trajectory has changed. Outline a wonderful arc. Messi found the front plug. Leno did not hesitate. Pounce on Messi's feet. Messi flicked his right foot. Left foot pick. The ball crossed Leno's head. Flew into the net. 4-1. The whole place was quiet. The baseball fans who had planned to help Sun Xingxian after the game were blue in the face and left the stadium one after another. The referee immediately blew the final whistle. Beautiful. The ball is in again. Artistic passing. Artistic goals. It's Chutian again. He's on his own again. Make 4 goals alone. In just a short time, led Barca to complete the reversal. Barca have won 2 consecutive Champions League group games, and the remaining opponent is the fish-belly Borisov. As long as there are no accidents, the second leg back at Camp Nou's home field, Roma and Bayer Leverkusen have little chance of counterattacking. I took a look at it. Juventus, Chelsea, Manchester City, Bayern, Paris Saint-Germain have won 2 games in a row. This year's Champions League group stage, there was no big upset. Porto and Arsenal played into a draw. Is it a cold goal? The quarterfinals are ready for the draw. Exciting. The game is over. Kramer excitedly hugged Chutian's jersey. Charhanulu wondered, isn't your idol Messi? Why not swap jerseys with Messi? Kramer looked at Chutian's back and whispered, Chutian's Barca shirt, maybe it will be out of print soon. Messi's shirt, next year's Champions League still has a chance to exchange. Charhanulu couldn't help but shudder. Didn't the boy Kramer break his brain? How suddenly so clever. The security at Bayer Athletic Stadium is not as strong as that of the Camp Nou and the Bernabeu. Chutian was surrounded by reporters. Chutian. I'm a reporter for Marca. What are your thoughts on the terms of the Barca Overlord contract? Today you helped Barca complete a big comeback. Do you have anything to say to the Barca hierarchy? Now that the fans have learned the truth, can you respond to the Barca Overlord clause? Frenzied reporters were quickly pulled away by the arriving security guards. Chutian smiled and did not make a reply to the hall, heading for the players' tunnel.